everybody, this is Z-Wink, and welcome back to Z-Wink University. This is our Bug Bounty Bootcamp series. And if you're here, hopefully you're here to learn all about bug bounty, how to get started in bug bounty, how to make money in bug bounty, and save the world, and hack things, and have fun, and challenge your brain, and all that great stuff. Right, like we talked about in our first video, we went over what bug bounty is, what the integrity hacking platform is, that ethical hacking platform is, right? What sort of the white hat versus the black hat hackers are. And sort of that first video was an overview into the world of what is bug bounty and kind of how it works, right? In this video, we want to talk about the tools and sort of what we need on our computer to get started in the field. And at this point, you don't have to know anything. That's okay. I want to be able to teach you all about web application security and bug bounty hunting, and the best way to do that is to already have the tools you need on the screen. Now, this video series is sponsored by Integrity, Europe's largest bug bounty hunting platform with over 50,000 researchers, more than 400 programs, and they have a blazing fast triage time, okay? And if you've been doing bug bounty hunting for a while like I have, you know how important it is to have a blazing fast triage time, because you don't want to find an issue and hack a thing and then have to just wait. You're like this, you're just like, how about now? No. How about now? Nope. No. None of that crap. Blazing fast triage time. So you can get paid, and so the issue can get fixed faster, and it makes you feel like an important person. And I like to feel like an important person. Now, in the first video series, like I said, we talked about overview of bug bounty. Today I want to talk about the tools. Now, you don't need a lot of tools or really complicated stuff to get going in this. You'll see other videos out there that are like, let's use Kali Linux. Linux is it's like this. It's like this little black screen, and it's like you type all these little things, and you're like cat ls / like you see in the hacker movies, you know, and things are scrolling down the screens, and this is how you have to hack. You have to hack like this. You have to hack. But not really. You don't have to do any of that to hack. It's so stressful, really. It's so stressful, and yeah, you don't need to do all that. What you need to do is have an operating system that you know how to use well. What is an operating system? What you see in the background is a Windows logo. I am using Windows, okay? So I like to hack from Windows. I know that's so uncool. It is very uncool, but it's very effective because I've been using Windows for almost 3 decades, and Windows is really good for me. I know all the command lines in the background and the foreground and all the cool stuff you can do with Windows because I'm good at it. But if you grew up using a Mac, or you grew up using Linux, or whatever, use the operating system that you're comfortable with. First thing is to just know how to use your computer. Okay, if you can't use the computer, you're not off to a good start. So you just need to know how to use the basics of your computer. Secondly, you need a good internet browser. I do all of my hackzering in Firefox. Okay, Firefox. So I'm going to click Firefox. Now, ironically, you can just use Firefox to download Firefox. But if you don't have Firefox already, you can go to, we're not going to go to Google. We're not going to use Google. We're going to go to duckduckgo.com. I like this search engine. It's a really good search engine. And they let you search for things while you're on a VPN, and I'm always on a VPN. Google makes me solve all the captchas, like the stop signs and stuff. And I can't stand clicking all the stop signs and the crosswalks and the chimneys. So I use DuckDuckGo. So anyway, if you don't already have Firefox, all you have to do is type in get Firefox. I would like to get Firefox, please. Oh, you would like Firefox. You may click the first thing that comes up to download it. Okay, let's do that. Let's go to mozilla.org and go to download Firefox. Click the blue button. Download and install Firefox to your operating system, and then load it back up whenever you've got it installed, okay? I would like to teach y'all to do stuff in Firefox. I feel like Chrome's a little creepy. It's a little on the creepy side, okay? If you want to use Chrome, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But ultimately, we're doing our web request when we're doing bug bounty hunting for web application hacking and our web browser. So you want to have a web browser that works well, and I just know all about Firefox and how it works. I like it. It's shiny. So get that. Now, once you have your browser installed, tool 1, your browser. Tool 1, your browser. We need tool 2. We need a proxy. We need some software that can intercept all the stuff we're doing that we can analyze and play with. There's a lot of options out there, actually, but the one I'm going to teach is Burpsuite. What you need to do, go back to duckduckgo.com, type in Burpsuite Community Edition. Okay, Burpsuite Community Edition. The not ad that comes up down here will be what you need. Download Burpsuite Community Edition, Portswigger. It's free software. Okay, so you don't have to pay for this. Don't enter your email. That's clickbait. you can just click go straight to downloads. Ha, there you go. Now you can just click Burpsuite Community Edition, whatever operating system you're on. Look, it has the ones I listed. Windows, Mac, Linux, and JAR. Is that Java? People still use that? But seriously, just click that and download. I have already downloaded Burpsuite Community Edition and installed it, which took maybe a minute. So I also have that. You see, actually, I don't have my start bar shared. What kind of hacker am I? Anyway, so I have this installed now. What we're going to walk through today is how to set up Burpsuite Community Edition, the free version, with Firefox, the free Firefox. Notice you haven't had to spend $1 yet. This can be a very, very free field for making money. So I think you'll learn how this all works, and it's shiny, and so is the money that you get from it. So what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start up Burpsuite Community Edition. So I've downloaded it, I've installed it. I'm going to click the little teal colored button that says Burpsuite Community Edition, and you can see it loading here in the background. I'm going to just minimize this so we have our pretty red screen. I don't want to help Burp by submitting anonymous feedback, so I'm going to uncheck that. I'm big into helping people, just not at the moment. Okay, so you're going to start seeing, and one of the reasons I wanted to demo in Community Edition is I'm unsure of the limitations between Community and Professional, so this is going to be great. I'm used to using Professional Edition, which is I think $400 a year, day in and day out. So by using the Community Edition in these videos, it's going to help me figure out and be able to tell you the benefits you would get by upgrading to Professional Edition. I am not being paid by Burpsuite. I'm just saying it's the product I use. It is what it is. I'm going to tell you what it can and can't do versus the two versions. So we're going to start a temporary project, which is the only option we have in the free version. If you have the pro version, you can click a new project on disk, type in the name, and you can save your data. So that's already a huge feature. A lot of times when I find bugs, I need to go back into my project files and pull out payloads and go back in and start where I left off. So I would hate to only be able to work in temporary projects. So I already see this as one big drawback, but that's okay. We're just getting started. This is for training. It's free. It's good to go. We're going to hit next. Temporary project, we'll use the Burp default, so don't need to mess with anything here, and we'll get to cranking here. Oh, I like to play with software. All right, now, first thing I did was I maximized it, okay? And Burp comes with a lot of tabs, a lot of stuff. Well, first thing we want to do is we want to turn it black, because we're hackers and everything has to be black for some reason. So I got to figure out where those settings are. I think you click Project Options Miscellaneous. No, that's not right. Fumbling around. User options display. Got there. User options display dark. Oh my gosh, that's so much better, isn't it? Let's make the font size a little bigger just because we're demoing. Maybe we'll even make it a little bit bigger. I wouldn't normally work with it this large. There we go. That way people complain less about not being able to see my screen. Now that's different. Issue activity pro. Oh, okay, it's demoing the pro version stuff. Okay, so if you have the pro version, when you're working with targets, it automatically finds activity and puts sort of a window over here on the right, which I'm used to. So I guess when I close this, it's going to disappear. This does look a little different. That's cool. All right, so we're in Burpsuite. We've got it turned to dark mode, so it's easier on our eyeballs, and I think that's important because our eyeballs are important. Now, what we've got to do, the first thing I want to show you is the proxy button. Yeah. When you first start up Burpsuite, this whole concept of a proxy is turned on by default. Intercept is on. Let's talk about proxy. I want to work our way through this logically so you understand everything. We're going to go to images.google.com. We're going to type in what is a proxy. This is going to make me saw a captcha, isn't it? No, it didn't. Ha 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 ha. Let's find a simple image in here that's good to talk about. I like this one. Okay, so not exactly what's happening here, but we'll call this good. So what's happening is that you, using your web browser, right, are going to be talking to something on the internet. So let's just use google.com as an example. So you type in google.com in your web browser over here on the client. It makes a request to the internet to google.com. Google.com sends you your data back to your client. Normally, this red arrow, the back and forth, is sort of what's happening. Client to server, server to client, client to server, server to client. Ride the rainbow. But no, we're going to complicate it. We're going to make all the requests go through a custom piece of software to Google, and then when Google responds, it's going to go back through our custom piece of software back to our computer. Why? Because basically we want to be able to decode, decrypt, sort, catalog, analyze, and play with the traffic that we are sending on the internet and receiving from the internet. Okay, so that's what a proxy is. So in essence, Burpsuite is an application proxy. Okay, it's meant to proxy traffic, intercept it, and do stuff and things with it into it. Okay. By default, when you turn on, I'm pointing to something you can't see. when you turn on Burpsuite, you load it up. This interceptor comes on by default. Okay, this is going to automatically intercept any internet traffic and block it for you to do stuff with it. Okay, so we're going to come back to that, but I want you to understand this is on. This is something you normally want to turn off. But the first thing we need to do is you go to the proxy tab and you go to options. And what you can see is that a proxy listener has been started when you launch this software on the local loopback address and IP address 127.0.0.1 on port 8080. Now, I'm going to assume, because you're new to bug bounty hunting and possibly new to computers, that you don't know what an IP address or a port is. That's okay. This is called an IP version 4 address. It's got 4 groups of numbers that go up to 255, okay? So you'll see a number, dot a number, dot a number, dot a number. It's like your home address that the post office sends mail to, except it's a computer address, okay? And that's how the computer knows where to send stuff to and from. Like on your house, you've got windows and chimneys and doors and garage doors. We'll call those ports. IP addresses have ports, right, that can start from 1 and go up to like 65,000 up in the ephemeral range. But there's certain ports that are dedicated to certain activities. Okay, that's an important thing. A proxy is generally set to port 8080 or 8088 or 8888. These tend to be very standard proxy port numbers. This isn't stuff you need to memorize. The internet has this out there. But one of the most common ports that you're going to need to know is port 443. So let's look at that. And we're doing tools and training at the same time. It's important because as we go through setting up tools, I want you to also learn some stuff. So if we type in http://www.google.com, I want you to see what happens here. Let me turn on the network interceptor just in case it has any value. I'm going to hit enter. You'll notice that it actually routed us to https://google.com. Now, what that means is Google has set up a unencrypted or port 80 redirect to the secure default HTTPS port of 443. 80 and 443, 80 and 443. These are the 2 most common ports you're going to be working on the internet when you're doing web application security and bug bounty. A port 80 website is a website that is unencrypted. It means all the traffic is sent over plain text, generally speaking. I mean, let's say most of the time, port 80 is unencrypted and sent in plain text, okay? And that's usually denoted by http:// and then a :80. You won't see the :80 because the browser knows to check that for HTTP. It's the default port. So if I do :80, it still automatically redirects me to this. Now, if you'll notice, if I do a :443 after the website, it's going to disappear and still redirect me to Google. But what happens if I do 8443? Now, it's actually trying to connect to https www.google.com on a different non-standard HTTPS port of 8443. What is HTTP? Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It's the web internet stuff, okay? And what is the S? Secure. Secure versus non-secure. Secure versus non-secure. So if you see HTTP, that means Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And if the S is missing, it means it's probably not secure. It's probably not encrypted. All right. So stuff sent over that, anybody that intercepts those payloads or traffic can see everything you sent back and forth. You never want to send a username or a password over port 80, over HTTP. You want to send it over a secure port. Okay. So that is sort of the ports thing in a nutshell. You can find web vulnerabilities on any port that they happen to be running on the internet. And you use a technology called port scanners usually to find these sort of things. Or I can show you some clever ways to do it in Burpsuite where you don't even have to use another piece of software. But by and large, almost all the time, doing web application security, most of the stuff you see is going to be on 443 or 80 with few exceptions. Okay, you will find some stuff on other ports out there, but not very often. All right, so that's ports in a nutshell. Now, why did I talk all about IP addresses and ports? Now, I want to show you something else real quick while we're talking about IP addresses. If I type in, and all I did was load up command prompt on Windows here. I'm going to type in ping, and I'm going to do www.google.com. Why can't I type? It's really hard. Okay, and I'm going to hit Control C to stop it. When I pinged google.com, DNS did a lookup and said, okay, that's an IP address, 142.250.190.36. The reason I show you this is the internet, as I said, ultimately comes down to a series of IP address ranges. And host headers and domain names and stuff can kind of be used when you connect to an IP address to direct the traffic to specific websites. Like, you can have 10 different websites running on one IP address. For a lot of you that don't know that, right? So you could have google.com and toogle.com and zoogle.com and woogle.com all running at this IP address if they so wanted that to be the case. Similarly, you can have www.google.com running at 100 different IPs or more, right? Because of load balancing. And like, if Google only had one IP address and that IP address went down, google.com's down. So they need load balancing and failovers and additional addresses that you can access. This has been IP addresses and ports 101 for bug bounty. Now, all right, we got that now. So what's up? Let's go back to why we started talking about this. So now, this is called a local IP address. This is an IP address only accessible on your local computer. If I go type in 127.0.0.1 on the internet, it's not going to connect to it. But because I'm on my computer using my browser, I can now come over here and type in 127.0.0.1:8080. And let's see what happens there. Let's come over to our interceptor. Oh, I don't have the proxy turned on either, so that won't do anything. Ignore me. Anyway, stop. Let's do this first. Let's go and configure our proxy. So get Firefox started up, load Firefox. And all you have to do is click on these three lines, and let's get this configured to work with Burpsuite. So go to Settings. Go to Settings, you click the three lines, you go to Settings. All you have to do is type in Proxy, because I don't know where it is in the menu and it's too annoying to find it. Type in Proxy, hit Settings. Okay, so we're in our browser's proxy settings right now. What we need to do is we need to click Manual Proxy Configuration and make sure that 127.0.0.1 with the dots and 8080 are filled in so that they match your Portsawyer Community Edition, and also make sure that the proxy for HTTPS box is checked. And then you can go ahead and hit OK. Now, we're going to run into a certificate error here, and I want to show you something. Let's go to www.google.com, and it's going to hang up now. As you can see, Burpsuite intercepted this payload now and is asking what I want to do with it. We're not doing any training on the interceptor tool right now. What we want to do is just click intercept off. So just check this blue box here and I'll turn it off, okay? And that will allow the request to go through. Now we should get a certificate warning on the screen, but okay, I didn't get it because I already have the certificate imported, but you probably got it. So what we need to do is get your certificate set up to trust Burpsuite. Now what we're going to do that is we're going to come over here to Options, and you want to import, export CA certificates. So all you have to do is click this button right here, and I'm going to pause real quick, one sec. Okay, we're good. I had to make sure nothing sensitive was going to come up when I click this. So what we have to do is export the certificate in DER format. Okay, so go ahead and click Next on that, and then let's type in like burp_cert.der and hit Select File. And then what we're going to do is just we'll just save it right here in this directory because there's nothing sensitive in here. burpcert.der, and should have just saved it anyway. And there we go. So we're going to just save it right there for the moment. Hack files list burpcert.der. Hit Next, and it'll say your certificate was successfully imported. The reason we have to do this is because we need our browser to trust our Burpsuite proxy certificate to be able to decrypt the encrypted traffic. That's the whole reason for this. So we're going to import the certificate, and I'm not going to go into a big speech on certificates because it doesn't matter right now. There's actual security implications there. But let's just do this. We're going to go back into three lines on Firefox, go into the settings again, and we're going to type in certificate, okay? And click View Certificates. Now this is super easy. All you have to do over here is make sure that you've clicked Authorities, and then on Authorities you will click Import. You will navigate to where you put that file on your system. One sec. Yep, good to go. You'll navigate to where you put that file on your system. You will click the certificate and you will hit Open, and that is all you have to do. It will say it's either already installed in my case, or it has been successfully installed. And you'll have some checkboxes come up that say, what do you want to use the cert for? Check all the boxes, hit OK. Hit OK again, and now Firefox is configured to successfully trust the Burpsuite Certificate Authority certificate, and you will be able to properly decode your traffic. So now when you go to google.com, you won't get a certificate error warning like you probably did a second ago. You will now be able to actually visit any website. So this is really cool. Now we can go to like www.integrity.com. Okay, and we should be able to come over to Burpsuite Intruder, Interceptor, and all the other features. I'm an idiot. Come over to your Target tab, and you should be able to see the traffic for integrity.com. Oh, words are hard, man. All right, so when you get the traffic being intercepted like this, as you can see, anything that you have gone to on the internet or that the website has requested without your knowledge on the internet will start to load right here. As a perfect example, let's load msn.com real quick. As we know, we'll probably load 500 different things. News sites always do that. And then watch this list grow over here. Yeah, I got a couple more domains, didn't we? Still coming in. Whoop, there they are. Oh, there it is. Whoop, still growing. All from one website. So what happens is we get too much data. So when we want to start doing bug bounty, we want to make sure that we're, at least initially, only looking at the very precise scope that we want to look at. The way I like to constrain this data so that it's clean and we don't have all this junk coming in constantly is you click the Scope tab, you go to Target, then you click Scope, and you click Use Advanced Scope Control. I would get used to using Advanced, okay? And just click Add. What we want to do now is just say anything /dot, which means anything, /dot, anything at integrity/.com, okay, I would like to collect. I would like to collect that data. And then it says, do you want to collect any out-of-scope stuff still? Or do you want to avoid doing that? So I'm going to click yes to avoid accumulating project data for out-of-scope items right now. I don't want it to collect stuff that I don't want to know about. So now when we go back over here to the target sitemap, we can click on the filter line right here, click show all, and then click show only in scope items, and then click apply. And magically, you will see that all the data, except for what we care about, which in this case we're going to say is integrity.com, which also has an open public bug bounty on their own platform. You know, they believe in making their own stuff as secure as other people's, which I think is great, right? So we can now see all of the traffic. Now, the way I like to organize, before we even talk about what any of this is, I like to talk about just the organization of the tool, right? You see how I'm setting it up on the screen. Try to minimize the amount you need. This stuff over here is not as important, right? What the important stuff are your payloads and the time requested. You want to be able to see kind of this data that you see on the screen right here. And what I like to do is sort by the time the request was made in a descending fashion. And what that lets you do is as you're making requests in your web browser, you see them pop up at the top in white here. Any request that has not been made shows up in sort of a dark gray color. Like these are things that the software has extracted that it knows are there, but that haven't actually been requested by you yet. So we can see APIs, and stuff. We'll talk about what all that is. But for right now, we don't want all that extra junk on the screen. So you can go back to filter, you can click show only requested items and hit apply. Now we've got a perfectly clean view of just the target we want to look at in Burpsuite. And I believe it or not, this is our second tool. It's now completely set up. So it's been 20 minutes. We've got Firefox installed and set up. We've got Burpsuite installed and set up and configured to use, Firefox to use the proxy, so it trusts it. So now all we need really to be a good, successful bug bounty hunter, in my opinion, is our third major tool that I use all the time, which is a VPN. So let's talk about what that is a little bit and why it's important for bug bounty hunting. So when you connect to the internet, are assigned an external IP address for your home or for your apartment or for wherever you live. And that IP address is corresponding to your physical address or wherever your cable modem or DSL modem or whatever type of internet connection you have is installed. Okay, that is a known quantity. That is like a footprint of who you are as you're surfing the internet. If, when you're doing bug bounty research, that IP address gets blocked because you're doing, cybersecurity related activities and maybe blocked by a web application firewall or whatever, you can no longer work on that target if your only IP address has been blocked. Even if you have permission to be working on it, it doesn't mean you're not going to get blocked. There's a private program I worked on where I had about 100 IP addresses blocked over the course of it, okay? So what I do is I use a service called IPVanish. And there's a lot of different services out there like that. I'm not for any particular reason promoting this one other than to say it's what I use and that it works. I think Nord and some others out there are also really good. But what I want to show you is that this is my current public IP address, 205.105.10, whatever. That's not my real IP address. That's the IP address of the VPN I'm on right now. And I change this very, frequently. It just depends on what I'm doing and where I need to be. The cool thing that I wanted to show you is that if you need to be in a different country or a different part of the world, it's literally as simple as just clicking a country and a city and clicking connect, and you have suddenly moved across the world to a different IP address, and you will appear as though you are at that IP address. As you can see, there's just an absolute ton of, like, Sweden has 30, different servers you can connect to by itself. Switzerland has 12. United Kingdom has 62. Sometimes when you're testing bug bounty programs, they only allow certain countries to connect to them or whatever. So you want to make sure that you have the versatility to be able to make it appear like you're somewhere else. Right now it says I'm in, where am I? Is it Charlotte, I guess? Yeah, so I think that's what I'm connected to. So yeah, right now it thinks I'm in Charlotte, and that's fine. I'm not in Charlotte. But that's where it thinks I am. I could go connect to Buenos Aires real quick if I want to, right? So I would recommend using a VPN doing all your testing. That is tool number 3. Now, I'll recommend one more tool that I think is very important, and I mentioned this in other videos. You need something to be able to keep your notes clear and concise, and to be able to keep track of what it is you're really Notepad++. I would recommend setting DuckDuckGo as your primary. So anyway, type Notepad++ in your DuckDuckGo search, and it will load Notepad++. That's the first option, and you want to download and install this guy. And Notepad++, I believe, works on all operating systems, but what it effectively is a great way to take notes, save files, and be able to view, search, and play with all sorts of payloads and data to keep it organized while you're working. I like Notepad++ because it supports about 100 different encoding types and languages. So like if you download a JavaScript file or an HTML file or a Java file or whatever it happens to be, JSON, Java serialized object notation, all that stuff, it will color code it on the screen for you and help you work through it a little easier. And I just like it. Its functionality is very simple and easy, and I keep it up on the screen all the time. Tool number 4, Notepad++, definitely download and install that. So again, Bug Bounty Bootcamp, Bug Bounty Bootcamp. What we've gone through so far is sort of what Bug Bounty is, why we do it, where we can do it, right? The integrity platform. And then we have gone over now the 3-4 major tools that I use at least day to day when I'm bug bounty hunting. And when you get really good with the interactions between the browser, which is Firefox, and Burpsuite, and you run your VPN, you got your Notepad, you're set up, and you're ready to start talking about cybersecurity and bugs. So when we get into this next video, I'm going to start walking you through what all this stuff on the screen is, what it means, different vulnerability types. We're going to start getting into how to bug bounty, where you can go to train, live virtual environments. We can go to practice our skills, and we're going to start getting deeper and deeper into it until we really understand what we're doing and just how easy it really is to find bugs, or can be to find bugs, okay? I think that's about it for this one, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Z-Link University Bug Bounty Bootcamp, sponsored by Integrity. I'm looking forward to getting into the rest of this series. I don't know how many videos it's going to be, but I'm really liking sort of just taking it back to the basics and then building it up from there. I think it's going to be good, and it's a good exercise for me to try to take a whole bunch of knowledge that I've accumulated and try to compress it down into exactly what you need to know to get rolling. So looking forward to the next one, folks. Bug Bounty Bootcamp number 2 out.